This gathering marks a significant milestone in our collective efforts to combat HIV/AIDS in Nigeria. Since the last conference that was held in 2016, notable progress has been made shaping our response and strategies to address the HIV/AIDS epidemic in our country. I extend heartfelt appreciation to all our partners who have supported us in this race. It is a testament to the power of collaboration and shared commitment towards a common goal. The theme for this year is accelerating prevention to end AIDS through innovations and community engagement. And this underscores the importance of community involvement in shaping effective prevention strategies while ensuring access to health for those living with HIV/AIDS. In the time between the last conference and now, we have implemented various strategies, such as the combination prevention therapy, HIV self-testing, harm reduction initiative, treatment as prevention, and the re-evaluation of Nigeria's HIV epidemic through the Nigeria HIV Indicator and Impact Survey, which held in 2018, among others. However, despite our achievements, our work is far from over. We must redouble our efforts to prevent mother-to-child transmission and strive for an AIDS-free generation by 2030, leveraging on the advancements in health technology at our disposal. Prevention, they say, is better than cure, and it lies at the core of our public health interventions. Therefore, this conference serves as a platform to explore innovative approaches to empower communities, particularly those at higher risk, with the knowledge and tools to protect themselves from HIV infection. And that is why we feel we must start with the youth. Stigma and discrimination remain a significant barrier to achieving our goals. Therefore, we must educate and sensitize people about the harmful effects of stigma and discrimination against individuals living with HIV/AIDS. Our strategies must be inclusive, person-centered, and sensitive to the needs of adolescents, young people, key population, and people living with HIV/AIDS. We must also focus on community-based intervention while promoting local ownership and sustainability of our response. On that note, permit me to declare this conference open. Thank you, and God bless you.
I want to begin by congratulating NACA and partners for organizing this conference, which is aimed at optimizing innovative HIV prevention approaches towards achieving epidemic control, promote an equitable and inclusive human rights-based approach to HIV prevention, and strategize for increased domestic funding. The conference couldn't have come at a better time in a view of the statistics on HIV/AIDS in our country. Hence, the need to reevaluate, rethink, and re-strategize HIV prevention intervention programs is the key. For NACA to achieve her mandate, we must all ensure the increase of domestic funding, sourcing of HIV interventions, mobilizing community members for gender equality, social norms and gender equality in the uptake of HIV prevention, treatment, and care service, particularly the prevention of mother-to-child transmission of HIV. Support people living with and affected by HIV. Campaign against the stigmatization and discrimination of persons living with HIV and AIDS, and ensure leadership action for this, and key populations communities, among other interventions. The National Assembly, as a representative of our communities and people, we continue to provide strong leadership that will engender robust collaboration and partnership with relevant stakeholders and to achieve the forecasted goal that HIV is no longer a public health threat in Nigeria by 2030. Long live NACA. Long live Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you, and may God bless you.
The conference is very timely. We are taught in medical school that prevention is better than cure, you said it. And also the conference is timely because we have made progress. There's no doubt about that. But I want to ask you, are we satisfied by the progress that we have made as a country, as a community in reducing new HIV infections? If somebody thinks that we are satisfied, please raise your hand. Are we satisfied with the progress that we've made so far in reducing new infections? Are we? I'm hearing no. So we can't be satisfied because in 2021, we made the commitment that by 2025, we'll reduce new infections by 83%. That was a commitment that we made. But when we look at the numbers, so reducing new infection by 83% meant that by 2025, we will have had 370,000 new infections. But the data for 2022 suggests that we have 1.3 million new infections. So we can't be satisfied by that progress that did not reduce significantly the number of new infections. So for a country like Nigeria, it means the target was 22,000, but if we look at the data of 2022, we have about 74,000 new infections. The good news is when we read the HIV Global Prevention Coalition report of 2023, we have 11 countries in the world, most of them in East and Southern Africa, who have reduced new infection by at least 66%. And they are on track, to meeting the 2025 target. So out of those 11 countries, 9 are in Eastern and Southern Africa, and then 2 are in our region, Cameroon next door and Côte d'Ivoire. It says what? It says reducing new infection is possible. Reducing new infection is doable. Elsewhere in other countries, we really need to strengthen our effort. It is doable, it is possible, because we have the tools. We know how to provide combination prevention to key population. We know how to provide combination prevention to adolescent girls and young women. We know how to provide combination prevention to adolescent boys and men. And for some of us who have been around for a while, we know how to roll out condom programming and also to scale up ARV prevention intervention. So the next question is that what is holding back? And for the interest of time, I would just mention a few things holding back. There's still a tendency of antagonizing prevention versus treatment. We need both. We need prevention, and we also need treatment, because treatment as prevention alone will not take us to epidemic control. What is also holding back is the top political leadership and commitment around prevention. And in a country like Nigeria, the leadership and commitment, it's at FCT. It's good that His Excellency the President has provided resources. But I would challenge all of us that we find out at the state level how much governors, are putting in, to address prevention. Leadership also means beyond the Ministry of Health. So we want to see who is here from Education, Ministry of Women's, and so on and so forth. So really, top political leadership and commitment. What is also holding back, and then DG NACA mentioned it, funding. There's a global commitment that 25% of the resources in our program should go to prevention activities. I was looking at the data yesterday. Nigeria is 9%. We're only putting 9% using the 2021 data, so to intervention geared towards prevention. We're not scaling up proven intervention, so for primary prevention. Investment in condoms have reduced. Issues about capacity, even capacity at a community level to roll out, so proven intervention. Data remains a challenge. Last but not least, the legal, political environment around comprehensive sexuality education, key population programming, and so on and so forth. So all the scenarios suggest that this is a time to invest in primary prevention, not 5 years from now, not 10 years from now. I really hope we will use this conference, so to chart a new course on reducing new infections in Nigeria, in line with the health sector renewal investment initiative. Look at what is working, what are the shifts that are necessary. So from the UN, we stand ready to support government. Nigeria is an important member state to the United Nations, and we want to pledge our commitment here. Thank you so much, and then God bless Nigeria. We can end AIDS in Nigeria. Thank you.
It is a pleasure and privilege to be here with you today on this HIV Prevention Conference. I don't have much to say, but just to remind us from where we are coming from and where we are and where we are going. Because we are in a situation where we need to work together and to also remind our government and our partners on what to do. And believe me, if we work together, we will achieve our goal. As part of our effort in driving the community-led responses, through the youth we engage with support from the Global Fund, through IHVN, we have engaged 3 youth-led organizations. EPIN, which is the arm of NEP1, we also have NACA and AVA. They are spread across 2 states. We want to start small, but we are going to deploy some of these strategies to ensure that the prevention activities are being promoted and ensure that our youth population have adequate knowledge and empowered with the knowledge they need to prevent themselves from HIV and other STIs transmission. And finally, I want to also touch base on condom messaging and programming. We also need to pay attention both on the male and female condoms, especially now that we have a lot to do in terms of PMTCT program. It's not only about the youth, but even the women need to have access to these condoms, especially the female condoms, because we just got a new partnership who are willing to work with us, so we can do a lot of demand creation using our women. So on this note, I want to thank you all and appreciate the organizers of this event, and thank you and God bless you all.
I'm really excited to stand before you this morning as the voice of women living with HIV and AIDS in Nigeria. One of our core desire and prayer is to end pediatric HIV, to end the transmission of mother to child. Because mothers are the ones that carry the babies, and the child can only get the transmission through the mother. And if the mother is not well taken care of, she's not well empowered and educated and informed, then there is likelihood that the baby will be infected. So PMTCT is a critical point for prevention for us. So I want to indulge us that even as we are also looking at the young people, we should not forget the mothers who are the custodians of the young people. We should share, and we are in the era of inclusivity. Let there be inclusion. Let there be meaningful engagement, especially with women. And Ashwan is open for collaboration, for capacity strengthening, for partnership. We are available. So thank you very much. I wish us a happy deliberation and God bless us.
On behalf of the leadership of CCM, I bring the best of greetings. more importantly to the organizer of this HIV Youth Conference. In addition to that, we recognize the fact that the youths living with HIV/AIDS have provided opportunity for all of us to know that there is hope. In recognizing the burden of HIV/AIDS and accept to live with it positively. Nigeria has made significant progress, no doubt. But we need to recognize the fact that youths and each and every one of us need to play significant roles when it comes to HIV response. And for the CCM Nigeria, recognizing the importance of youth and the roles the youth need to play, there is a dedicated seat for the youth on the CCM composition. This is an innovation that I think all of us should recognize and then adapt. On that note, I want to give each and every one of us an assignment, and I will say, please join me to say, togetherness, we win. Thank you.
I convey the goodwill of all the 36+1 chief executive officers of SACAs at the state level. The theme of this conference is timely: prevention, HIV prevention. And we liken it to a gentleman who have a well-furnished apartment and you went to work. He left the tap open and water came. When he came back at 4, everywhere was flooded. There are 3 things you can do. It's either you become confused or you do nothing. Allow the new infections to continue to come. Or you mop the floor and still leave the tap running. Put everybody on treatment and hoping that you end the epidemic. And the third one is what? We close the tap and do what? And mop the floor. Every one of us cannot cure in what? In treatment. And we're saying, in moving forward, that we want to be at the center of days at the state level. The truth is, every year, our adolescents graduate to what? Young adults. And sex is what? It's everywhere. It's like sachet water. Everywhere you turn, backward, sideways, you see what? You see sex. We must protect sex. We must protect new infection. And we say again that we want to be at the center of this. Let the states of national level be at the driver's seat. Let me end by saying this. You remember Barack Obama? He said this at the national conference. He said we can win this pandemic. We can stop this disease. We can win this fight if we continue to be persistent, steady, every day until we get to 0. And thank you for listening.
I am so thrilled to be here spending time with young people, to listen to your ideas, hearing your personal stories, and watching your hopes and dreams come true. It is truly one of my most favorite things to do. And again, I really just want to honor and salute you. Young people, your energy is unmatched. Your potential is untapped. And your future is a blank canvas awaiting your imagination. I want to speak to you today on 3 themes, which I've categorized as follows. Today's reality, prevention is better than cure, and then thirdly, the canvas of opportunities. So today's reality, part 1. Many of you are aware of the realities faced by young people, not only in Nigeria, but across the continent. The incidence of HIV, tuberculosis, and other infectious diseases is higher on this continent than any other. This beautiful continent, our Mama Africa, is challenged by socio-economic hardships, including poverty, underdevelopment, and educational disparities. And many of these points were touched by our goodwill speakers. This continent also faces rising insecurity, Japa syndrome, and other vulnerabilities in this reality daily. Kofi Annan, former Secretary General of the United Nations, once said during his address to the Africans Leaders Summit that disease, like war, is not only a product of underdevelopment, but also one of the biggest obstacles preventing our society from developing as they should. That is especially true of HIV and AIDS, which now takes its biggest toll among young people, the age group that normally produces the most and has the main responsibility for reaching the next generation. None of us choose where we are born or who we are born to, but all of us are born with a blank canvas and an expectation that we are and will be in control of our own destiny, with the ability to choose the colors that will fill our canvases as we grow into adulthood. The unfortunate reality is that some of your canvases have already been colored by the circumstances around you in ways that were not of your own choosing. But take heart, because you still hold the paintbrush and can still create a masterpiece so breathtaking that the result will not resemble its beginning. Nigeria has a vital resource many aging societies are losing: a vibrant, youthful population full of energy, drive, and imagination. Nigeria has you. Prevention is better than cure is a statement that goes beyond health, or in my personal case, the mantra of a very strict father. If you're knowledgeable about HIV transmission, yes, you can protect your health and that of a loved one or a sexual partner. But prevention is really a coat of armor you can use to navigate through this complex period we are currently living in. When you are armed with knowledge, you can make informed decisions that shape your destiny, and you can choose the colors of your personal canvas. With your armor, you can advocate for your rights and demand that laws and policies which protect these rights are enforced. Your armor can provide a voice to the voiceless, lifting fellow brothers and sisters in communities, such as those impacted by HIV and AIDS. Globally, we are grappling on how to close the tap on new HIV infections, and you've heard some of that again from our speakers. This youth pre-conference is quite timely because time is not on our side. We cannot eliminate HIV as a public health threat by 2030, close the tap on new HIV infections, or break mother-to-child transmission cycle without you, your ideas, your advocacy, and your leadership. Remember, you will represent the third largest group of people in this world. In the next 2 decades, Nigeria will become the home of the third most populous nation in this world. You quite literally hold the proverbial keys to change the HIV trajectory. So this brings me to my third theme, which I've titled The Canvas of Opportunity. So if you didn't hear anything else I said, please listen to this. Young people have been identified as a key priority for PEPFAR's 5-year strategic strategy, because young people make up a disproportionate share of new HIV infections, especially with adolescent girls and young women representing most of those infections. In an effort to conduct business differently, catalyze innovation, be bold and creative with programming, Ambassador Kanga Song recently unveiled a $20 million global leadership initiative focused on youth. This initiative will strengthen youth in their advocacy and leadership efforts to improve HIV prevention, case finding, treatment outcomes in select PEPFAR-supported countries. The countries were not announced during the unveiling, but I am excited to share that Nigeria has been selected and the PEPFAR team has been invited to submit a proposal for consideration. This youth leadership initiative is in addition to recent changes PEPFAR Nigeria has made in response to the feedback of young people. We have revamped our small grants program and are now accepting proposals for up to $25,000 on grants.gov from youth and key population-led organizations. We're particularly looking for innovations on virtual spaces, community-led monitoring for priority populations. The deadline to apply is June 25th. So if you're a youth-led organization, please submit an application. For those who are familiar with the Patient Education Empowerment Plan, PEEP, that my dear Abdul Qadir mentioned, we are working with NEP1 and UNAIDS to convene a stakeholder meeting to finalize PEEP, resources, tool dissemination, and step-down trainings for people living with HIV and KP networks so that members are well-informed and empowered to promote treatment education, legal rights, redress for human rights violations, and we will also try to use the convening power of PEEP to engage young people on specific activities for the Youth Leadership Initiative. Under the Lift Up Equity Fund, which many of you were a part of with the interagency PEPFAR team, the proposal was submitted to address the age of access legislation, which was approved for $800,000. And I am personally inspired by the progress made by the many of you who have co-designed the proposal and to the organization implementing this important work. The U.S. government through PEPFAR has made concerted efforts to incorporate communities in surveys and data quality assessments, including the Country Operational Plan, COP23, Getting the Data Right strategy. We will continue to adapt the HIV program as feasible in response to your ideas, in partnership with Government of Nigeria leadership, and with a spirit of inclusivity. I'll end with my father's favorite phrase: prevention is better than cure. Prevention is both your armor and your paintbrush. It will protect your potential and empower you to paint the picture you personally desire for yourself and be the change agents that Nigeria needs. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
It is true that prevention is better than cure, but currently we are yet to get a cure for HIV globally. This re-emphasizes the need to accelerate the prevention of new infections, especially among the most vulnerable population and the youth in general. This conference provides a platform for discussing our different prevention strategies with the intent of assessing them for effectiveness, sharing global best prevention practices, and domesticating them to suit our unique socio-cultural environment. Let me applaud the efforts of the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, NACA, and all its implementing partners, especially PEPFAR, UNAIDS, and GFATN, for your tireless intervention and support in ensuring that Nigeria achieves the 95 targets by 2030, as well as the Sustainable Development Goals. Also, let me acknowledge the support of persons living with HIV, adolescents and young persons, civil society organizations, and indeed everyone affected by HIV. We can only win this war against this virus when we work together to accelerate HIV prevention amongst everyone and put those infected by HIV on treatment across the country.